Hello, fellow knights. Welcome back to another video. So, in this video, as some of you may have known if you guys been with me for a while, originally I was named Phil TMNT. This channel was originally named Phil TMNT, and it wasn't until like a few months ago, so relatively recent, like 4, 5, 6 months ago, I rebranded to the Scattered Knight. I wasn't talking as much Ninja news. I didn't want to see people thinking this is like this channel is only an Ninja base, you know. I kind of do miss the whole Phil Human name in the fact that it is for me iconic because again, well for me like people most people know me as Phil TMNT. So if you guys in the comments say, hey Phil TMNT, never get upset because technically like I said, that's what me as before I use categories. I'm not gonna be really picky about what people call me, Saturday Night or Phil TMNT, or even Phil the Keyblade Master. Because I do have a Kingdom Hearts channel called Phil the Keyblade Master. But the reason why I initially grew this channel, Phil TMNT, is I was and still am a huge Ninja Turtle fan. Been a huge Ninja Turtle fan since I was still in diapers. My sister are 1990s Ninja Turtles. Still to this day, I will watch the 90s trilogy. Even though I would say that the third one is the weakest one of the set, and my only criticism for the Ninja Turtles 1990 trilogy as a whole is that they became goofier as movies progressed. And even though I didn't have a problem with jokes in like the first and second one, and essentially like the third one, I do think the third one would have been a lot better if it cut like half the jokes and was more serious. I do think if it took itself more seriously and relied less on its slapstick side, then a fourth film of gameplays took place, or had more frequency because how reality did it. Granted, that had like what the 2007 intro, so like a loose sequel. So you can say the 2007 film it is the fourth film in the 90s, so you could say, coming out what 14-ish years later. But here's a huge but. Did you guys know that was going to be a live action fourth film? So in a way, the one movie that came out in 2007 would have been the fifth film if this fourth film was going to come in. And you're probably asking, what the hell are you talking about? Here it is, the Forgotten Fourth 90s TMNT movie. I say TMNT, but we all know it means Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as you get into. Let's watch, shall we? Wait, April's gonna be evil, correct? Okay. So this is a big year for the Ninja Turtles. What's year did this come out? So this came out 2 years ago. I'm a bit late. Hold on. The only Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mayhem is releasing in cinemas in August. Which I enjoy even Mayhem as a Ninja Turtle film. I felt like Mayhem was in. But 2023 also marked the 30th anniversary of the third Ninja Turtles. And they go into saying this because it's the worst depiction of the on-screen villains. I say, in terms of on-screen, the worst depiction of the turtles, I do mean both big and small screen, is the 1995. Um, if you're talking about strictly live action, is the Mutant. Next Mutation one. If we're talking about if we're bringing animation, I still think Mutant Mayhem is the worst one. Mutant Mayhem is a tad bit better than Next Mutation, but for me, not by much. Both films didn't really honor Ninja Turtles, even though I do will say that Mutant Mayhem was just horrible intro. Anyways, let's actually skip the intro and let's go into the premise for the fourth Ninja Turtles film, shall we? Not a great deal was known about the plot of the fourth installment, but it worked under two different titles throughout the production. The first name, The Foot Walks Again, as homage to the villainous Foot Clan that had been antagonists across the series. It will later refer to as the Next Mutation. Both names speak to elements of the plot that forge the basis of the script, but the direction was very clearly to make a genuine sequel to the previous movies. This would not be a soft reboot. This would not have been a soft reboot, but a firm extension of the already beloved continuity. It was later revealed that the tone of the movie would have been far grittier than the previous versions. Dude, even more grittier than the first? Dude. So, that was going to be a new turtle they introduced named Kirby. After the named after the legendary comic book artist Jack Kirby. The addition likely would have split audiences, departing from the lore had been previously existed in comic books and the cartoons. Kirby would have been the mutation that the title makes reference to. The next hero is potentially a long line in a potentially long line of action figures. This dude, this dude wearing a white bandana, in contrast of the four original turtles. The less kid-friendly movie would have pitched Kirby as the most hardcore member of the group, with the character acting as a catalyst for the change of direction. The most hardcore? Like, dude, okay. Most interestingly, the movie was intending to feature the turtles undergoing a second mutation linked to the characters aging. This would have allowed the team to develop different powers, change slightly visually, and have issues to contend with as they get to grip with their alterations. Naturally, it would have been a logical way to sell more toys and any action figures from past movies becoming outdated thanks to the upgrade in design. So, character concept art. So, we also know of some of the other characters that would have been included in the sequel, thanks to the additional art of the movie. Drawing were produced for characters like Fang, Shredder, Spider, Nano, Spider, Casey, Cowboy, Bugman, and April. I wonder if this Casey that I'm highlighting the name to, they unintentionally misspelled Casey Jones' name because Casey Jones with a C and not a K, or if there's going to be a different for some Casey. And I'm kind of happy that the only bit to this fourth film that I'm so far happy that it didn't come to fruition about is the Shredder coming back. And that's only because the Shredder got crushed in the garbage crap pile thing in the first movie. He came back in the second film, only to get like what the building to get crumbled on him again. And the reason why I'm saying that is I love the Shredder. He's a really good villain. He's a terrifying villain. And yes, I grew up on the 2003 Turtles film, series, where we have like the Ultron Shredder. Like we saw Shredder getting his ass handed to him. He died. A different version of him came back. He died. That person died. Another version of him came back, died. I'm sorry. One Ultron Shredder gets sent to this icy prison. And then we got Demon Slayer Shredder. He died. And then we got Cyborg Shredder, and that died. And so Ultron Shredder came back because the 1987 Shredder and Krang brought him back. The part where I'm coming from this, if we're going to temporarily pretend that Ultron Shredder, Demon Shredder, Cyborg Shredder are all the same version of the Shredder, even though, technically, Cyborg Shredder is technically the digital version of Ultron Shredder. But for argument's sake, let's pretend all of them are literally one and the same. Why Shredder is it's a scary feeling, horrorcore feeling, hard to stay down permanently, right? And thing about the old three Turtles that I would say that them killing the Shredder twice essentially only had him coming back as a different version, kind of even though he was still scary. Don't get me wrong, he was still scary, but he didn't come across as scary as he could have been per se, if that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like them constantly bringing the Shredder back or our character back, like in Star Wars' case of with Darth Sidious the Emperor, kind of dilutes the character, the bad guy in this case, a little bit. That makes sense. And that's what something with Arrow, kind of the Arrowverse kind of watered the well a little bit. Like, for example, Sarah Lance. Sarah Lance, she died. She came back. Kinda. Only to get her soul Sarah Lance died in season 3. Season 4, she got resurrected, right? Only for her soul to not be in place. And then this whole John Constantine having Sarah Lance to get her soul aligned. John Constantine helped get her soul aligned with magic. Only in Legends of Tomorrow, Sarah Lance dying again. Only to get brought back again. And she's a good character. Just it kind of dilutes the whole well, if you die, then what real stakes are there if you're going to get brought back constantly? And that's my argument essentially with the Shredder. And by further extension, that's where I'm coming from with the 90s Shredder. Sure, you bring him back once. Okay, you brought him back once. Can make some argument because this is a comic book based thing that he didn't die. He got seriously injured, but he didn't die in an event that should have killed him. But that's only on one trick pony. So that's the only thing that I'm saying that I'm kind of hoping. I'm happy that they didn't do is having this one trick pony try to have it be a two trick pony, if that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm generally hoping my point. You guys get my point, even if I didn't explain it very well. I apologize for that. Anyways, the list of names should have a general idea of new and returning villains, while the story would have clearly seen April corrupted and perhaps even portray the group. The idea that April might have served of some form of antagonist does suggest the narrative was moving in a lot different directions, hinting that the original premise might have been overstretched, especially if she got too splashed with some moves. The mention of Spider and Nano Spider appeared to be original creations of the movie, suggesting again that the film was departing from canon in its bid from imaginative story. And it would have been the first time when they kind of like went away from canon a little bit because Toka and Razor was Secret of the Ooze version of Bebop and Rocksteady. And the only reason why Bebop and Rocksteady wasn't in Secret of the Ooze was because of right issues, if I remember correctly. Anyways, um, um, moving to Turtles in the years since, the concept behind the foes has never been recycled, implying that there wasn't any particularly memorable about the new creation. On top the On top of this, the Return of the Shredder added yet another villain to the project. With his surprise comeback in spite of his previous fate, linking to the Foot Walks Again title, the character would have been rebuilding the Foot to his former glory, adding to the pre-existing rivalry. Just like Spider and the Turtles, Shredder was supposed to be upgrading to Super Shredder. This picks up on the ending of Secret of the Ooze, and it is an idea that has been played out on the small screen where Shredder occasionally evolves to be even more menacing. And so, because the script, considering concept art has been already put into production for the Footwalks again, it might come to no surprise that the script has actually been created for a piece for the piece. In fact, three scripts are known to exist in the production, which may account for the various filling choices and alternate titles. The first was written in 1995, being the year before I was born, by Christian Ford and Roger Schoffer, who would go on to pen for the Shaquille O'Neal starring Kazam in 1996. The second was a rewrite of this draft in 1996 by Craig Shapiro and John Travis. The final version was a new draft from the latter two submitted in 1997. It could be that what we know about this cinematic outing is a result of the combination of these two various scripts. Therefore, it might be all of these diverse elements were never intended to be balanced in a single film. I know we're going to talk about it, but like Kevin Eastman, but I have bragging rights about meeting Kevin Eastman. Anyways, but the fate of the script themselves are up in the air. Kevin Eastman actually auctioned off one draft of the screenplay, although it's unclear who bought it and where the other versions currently reside. While there are also rumors to as who purchased the piece, there are occasional personalities who emerges on fan forums claiming to have bought the script and will one day release it to the public. Yeah, it's probably people having like smoke up their ass saying it, to be honest, just to get like um popularity out of it. Anyways, the validity of these announcements have not been proven, and there is always hope for TMNT fans that one day the screenplay could leak and reveal its many secrets. So, performance of the third Ninja Turtles film. When analyzing why the project was canceled, it's vital to look at the performance of the previous trio. The first two outings were financial successes with mixed critical responses. The 1990 iteration achieved $135 million at the U.S. box office, while the sequel of the Ooze, boasted $78.7 million. Million. They most like the word million. This clear drop off didn't stop at but this clear drop off didn't stop at a third movie going into the production. But with the film garnering $42.3 million during the domestic run in the 1993, questions were starting to get raised as the longevity of the franchise. While New Line clearly toyed with with continuing the series as late as 4 years later, the declining numbers offer an important insight to why there were some hesitancy for the indie studio to go all in on another project. And again, I do think the issue with the '90s trilogy is that they kept on getting goofier as the movie progressed. Secret of the Ooze was goofier than the original Ninja Turtle film, the '90s film. Ninja Turtles 3 was goofier than Secret of the Ooze. Again, I don't have any issues with the jokes in number 2. In fact, number 2 is my favorite. Even though I will say number 1 is the best depiction of the Turtles. The 1990s film is the best depiction of the Turtles, but the Secret of the Ooze is my personal favorite Ninja Turtles film of this trilogy. Because I do find it kind of struck a little bit more of a balance between comedy and a serious tone. But I would love to see a Ninja Turtle film being taking itself like even more seriously than the 1990 film, and that's a challenge because the 1990 film was so good. The 1990 film raised the bar so high. I've yet to see a Ninja Turtle film top the 1990 film. Just saying. So cancellation, despite the box office drop in 1995 to 1997 story production dates and creation of the concept do suggest the new line continued, albeit at a much slower pace and with a sense of urgency as the previously release. Clearly, lessons were learned from those other projects with the creative team, ensuring that they had plenty of time to truly get to the beat. It's not uncommon for there to be 3 variations of scripts, but clearly something wasn't working. Also, I do think they were too most of them in a hurry to release an initial film because the second one came out like a year after the first one came out, and then the third one came out 2 years after the third one came out, which I do think there should be at least a 2-year gap between the films, so writers can, if not 3 years, at least, so the movies can have enough time to get the script written, go into production, getting reshoots. So, but I will like to say, before going to the recycle names bit, with no TV revivals until 2003, technically there was a revival in the television series. If they're talking about animation, then they're technically right. Does that mean overall they're technically wrong? Because there's the Next Mutation Turtles, which came out in 1997, which took the concept, which they announced in here, which I will let you guys read the rest of the article on your own, where they seem like they took the concept of the name Next Mutation and there being a fifth turtle and the foot returning and Shredder and made it a TV show that was horribly made because Next Mutation was they had a fifth turtle named Venus, the first ever lady Ninja Turtle. She called herself a Shinobi, which pains me every single time I hear that because Shinobis translate to male ninja. Each translates to female ninja. Anyways, she was the first lady Ninja Turtles who had mystical powers as well. And they did have the Shredder in like 2 episodes. I want to say 2, maybe 3 episodes of the series. I think they did him dirty. They did the Foot Clan dirty. Yeah, like what, 21 episodes, which I think is 21 episodes too many. The Next Mutation Turtles, it might have a crossover with the Deep Space Power Rangers. As a kid, I loved it. As an adult, like, okay. I like the concept with execution. Most like the Next Mutation show was horrible. And the costumes, for the most part, looked like they got the costumes from places like Spirit Halloween. And not trying to trash Spirit Halloween because that's a really good store for Halloween. But like the 90s trilogy, their costumes were on point. Even the third film, which wasn't as good as the first two. The third film, 1990s film that came out in 1993, their costumes was on point compared to the 1987 show. That show, it's my least favorite first film, The Turtles. So right. But like I said, is there any more? No. Okay. Well, like I said, there was a fourth film that was going to take place, but got canceled, partially because of how Ninja Turtles 3 went. And I do think if they took their time a bit more, because I like the premise of number 3, but with the release of the trilogy and didn't get goofier over time, then I do think we could have had a Ninja Turtles 4 and essentially a 5, potentially a 5th Turtles film. Sorry, yeah, 4th and 5th Ninja Turtles film in the 1990s trilogy. But again, since they got progressively goofier over time to the point where like the third film felt like some moments where it could have been serious was run by the humor, and some of that humor was like dated humor. I don't know. And don't get me wrong, I don't think they went too far with the dated humor, because like they did with Mutant Mayhem, where like Mutant Mayhem, given like 10, 20 years from now, even 5 years from now, Sunlight humor in the Mutant Mayhem film will be so dated. Half the film jokes in the Mutant Mayhem film will be dated. Anyways, I would have loved to have seen the fourth film come out. I would like to get like future Ninja Turtle creators, whether they're like comic book, video game, movie, or TV show, them taking inspiration from this script of the 90s fourth Ninja Turtle film, and I don't know, like um and apply it to their storytelling, because we already had like at least 2 versions where there's a fifth turtle. In the 1997 show, Venus, which she recently did a comeback in the comics as a fifth turtle, and Janica, which she also originated in the comic. A foot soldier needing a blood transfusion, she became an Ninja Turtle. And then, what else? Slash. I don't know much about the character of Slash outside of the 2012 series, which he can kind of say that he's an honorary fifth turtle, because he was Raphael's pet in the 2012 series, got mutated, was a villain for a bit. He worked with the Ninja Turtles for a little bit, even though he technically joins the Mutanimals, but still, if you want to say by even extension Slash. But with that said, I do. So they already did the whole fifth turtle thing a few times, but I want even more because I think the concept of what could have been the fourth turtle or fifth turtle would have been great, and I do like the whole concept of what an evil April. That's cool, and what else? Like I would love. Where is it? To get this spider and nano spider and Bugman and Talbot and Casey, like if this Casey with a K was supposed to be a different character from Casey Jones, I would so love. I would so love seeing that take place. But with that said, Ready Ramble for like half an hour or so. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you all. Have a wonderful day. Be kind of one another. Take care of each other.